everybody. Welcome to another episode of Robert Garcia Unfiltered. We hope everyone's having a safe and happy holidays. For this episode, we're going to be talking about Matchroom's Day of Reckoning event in Saudi Arabia. And then we're also going to be talking about Inoue's win over Marlon Tapales in Japan. So let's jump right into Day of Reckoning. It was the return of Dimitri Bivol against Lyndon Arthur. After the fight, Arthur said that Bivol is as good as everyone thinks he is and that he'll beat Beterbiev. Obviously, that has to happen after he beats Callum Smith. But do you guys agree with that statement? And if you don't, what does Bivol need to improve on in order to become victorious?
Bivol has two belts and Beterbiev has another two, right?
Bivol has the WBA and the IBO. Beterbiev.
That don't mean that. That don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's still
has
one out
IBF,
there.
WBC, and WBO.
Oh, so the other three are owned by the other guy.
Beterbiev.
Oh, okay. So it will be for undisputed. Yeah, I think the fight needs to happen by next year. It should happen. I think it's a pick 'em fight because Bivol is very technical, fights very good, uses his combinations, his reach. But Beterbiev is a strong dude, man. That fucker hits hard, and he's one of those guys that you got to try to avoid, as long as you can. Like at 140 with Matias, and at 168 with Morel. Those are the guys that you got to try to avoid. And I think at that heavyweight, that's a guy to be able to avoid. But Bivol is willing to do it. Hopefully he's willing to do it, so we could see it. It's a good fight. I think I give the edge to Bivol because he is just very smart, uses his combinations. I think his combinations, his style, all the volume punches that he throws, I think that'll get what's his name off. Will get him off his game plan, and he'll have to work extra hard to be able to connect and hurt Bivol. So I think I give the edge to Bivol, but it is a fight that hopefully we see. Hopefully we get another year of great fights, and I think that's one of them.
Yeah, I think I would favor Bivol as well. I think this fight he didn't perform the way some people expected. I was expecting him to be able to stop Arthur, but I think he fights kind of at the level of his opponents. He's had performances going into the Canelo fight. I forget who he fought that there was a reason Canelo was like a 6-1 favorite when he was gonna fight Bivol. He had a lot of performances where it looked like he would just do enough to win. He just boxes, uses his jab, plays it real smart. But as the level steps up, when he fought Canelo, when he fought Zurdo Ramirez, you could tell he's a little bit more aggressive. He's more willing to exchange with some of those guys, and I think it has to do with the opponents. I think Canelo and Zurdo, they were, obviously they're trying to win. They're not playing it safe, playing it easy. They're trying to win, and that opens them up more for counter punches from Bivol. I think Beterbiev is the perfect style for Bivol to look great in. He's gonna put pressure. He's gonna attack Bivol. He's gonna try to cut the ring off, work the body, and land his power shots. But I think he's gonna be walking into a lot of shots with Bivol, and I would favor Bivol in that one.
I think I favor Bivol by decision, but yeah, I favor Bivol.
Do you think we'll even get that fight? Because I know the WBC has like some issues with Russian fighters.
The WBC has issues with certain guys, but when it comes to big fights like that are going to generate a lot of money, those issues they sweep them under the rug if the money's right. So I don't think they'll have a problem.
I hope we see the fight because it's a fight that we need to see. I think right now it's the time of everybody trying to unify and trying to become undisputed. And this is a fight at that weight division. It's actually a huge fight. It's not just a fight that people don't get any interest in watching. I think it's a fight that we want to watch. There's quite a few fights that everybody wants to see, and I think this one is one of them. I think it will do good. Especially, I'm pretty sure they put it up in Saudi. It'll do really good. They'll get really good paydays, and it's a fight that interests the whole world. Especially here in the States. Even though neither of them are from the States, we want to watch it.
Right now that you were saying that he hasn't gotten a knockout in a while, that Bivol hasn't gotten a knockout in a while, do you think that kind of gets him an advantage having all that experience leading up to unanimous decision?
I don't think it gives him an advantage. I think it actually puts the boxing fans, the boxing world, maybe against him because the other one hits so hard. Beterbiev hits so hard that they're gonna think, oh man, Beterbiev is gonna be too strong and it's gonna. But Bivol's style of the way he does his boxing is a little awkward too. It's like he's got an awkward style, throws combinations that are a little awkward. When you see him training, when you see him doing mitts, hitting the bag, he seems like he just throws a lot of punches, but in different angles that people don't expect. So that makes it harder, But because he hasn't knocked out anybody lately, people might think, oh, when he gets caught, if he gets caught by Bitter, he's gonna get hurt, and they're gonna hurt him, and they're gonna stop him. But I think that he's got to start where it's gonna be hard to get caught. I think he wins that decision. But we don't need to see a knockout. We see a good performance, a good fight with the fighter, with the puncher trying to look for the knockout, and the boxer counter puncher keeps landing and landing. It's an interesting fight. It's a fight that's gonna have us waiting for that one punch to land, or just going round by round when for the decision.
All right, so let's move on to Deontay Wilder's return against Joseph Parker. He came up short. Parker won unanimous decision. I didn't see this fight, but everyone says that Parker obviously dominated. Knowing how Wilder is this huge and fierce and strong hitter, were you guys kind of surprised that he wasn't using his straight right towards his?
Well, it was a surprise to I think to the boxing world because everybody expected him to land that power that he has. One punch ends the fight. He could be losing every round, but one punch ends the fights, and he never did, never landed. It just seemed like he wasn't there. I don't know. I just think he's done. He's completely done. Even though there's still a few fights out there that probably generate him really nice paydays, I think he's done. I think that the fights that he had with Fury and maybe inactivity, hurt him a lot. I think that's the end of his career. Maybe not the end of his career because, like I said, I think he's got a couple more fights that'll generate him really, really good paydays. But yeah, I think he's a fighter that looking towards the end of his career. He just didn't look like he's there anymore.
Yeah, I think it had more to do with Deontay Wilder being inactive, the age, the battles he's been in, like my dad said. And then also with Joseph Parker, it's the complete opposite. He's coming off of a year where he already had 3 good wins. He's staying active, he's staying busy. He's got his trainer Andy Lee, who's doing a great job with them, and 3 training camps obviously gives him a lot of time to work on different things. And it was like the perfect storm for Joseph Parker. He came in as ready as he was gonna be, and Deontay Wilder came in, the complete opposite, without fighting in over a year. Coming off of those three difficult fights with Tyson Fury. I think like my dad, I think we're done with seeing Wilder at the top level. I think he still has one more. I said it at the gym where I think he has one more fight in him where he could fight Anthony Joshua and Usyk, one of those guys, and generate a lot of money, and it'll be a big fight. People will still want to tune in to see Deontay Wilder. I think with the heavyweights is a little bit different. I don't think one loss really brings them down too much. I mean, I think a fight with Anthony Joshua or Usyk would still generate a lot of money. It would still be a big fight. People would still tune in to watch because Deontay Wilder can still knock him out with one single punch. You never know. But I think he would lose that fight, and then he still has the maybe a Francis Ngannou type of fight or something like that. So I think we still see him a few more times in the ring, and he said it himself that he's not planning on retiring anytime soon. So we will see him a few more times. But I think the Deontay Wilder that we're expecting, I think we're done seeing that Deontay Wilder.
You kind of answered my question with the Anthony Joshua fight, because they were saying that with this performance that kind of ruined his chances on having that fight. But AJ actually said that he still want to do that. And then I was gonna ask you guys, is that a fight that you guys still want to see, or did that ship completely sail already?
I think it's a fight that could still happen, and I think it's a fight that still should happen because it's just gonna be. It's totally different when he just lost and lost almost every single round and looked completely done. Like I said, I think he's done. I think his career is done, but he still has that one fight, and I think it's against Anthony Joshua. why I'm saying this, because Anthony Joshua stayed active this year and had 3 fights, and this fight he looked really good. His style, his rhythm,
And it was probably
combination,
his toughest fight. He was probably his
and
toughest
it was
opponent.
probably one of the toughest fights. But he looked really good. He looked fresh. He looked, it was fighting 3 times this year. Activity kept him made him look like the way he did. I think it's not even about who the trainer is or who's training him. I think it's about himself staying active and himself in the ring with the right mentality, with the right mindset, with the right just attitude. Something he might have not had a few fights back, but with him already having that in the past, and the world knowing that there's been things wrong with him, the way he thinks, the way sometimes the way his mind is, that signing a contract to fight Wilder might be a problem for him. Maybe it's not about his performances, just his recent performance. I think it's about who he's going to fight. Maybe the problem is if he is forced or not forced, but obligated or kind of pushed to fight Wilder. Everybody, the whole world might think, oh, now it's an easy fight. It might turn out to not be an easy fight, because just depending on who you're fighting, there's been fighters that do so good against other fighters, but then there's that one fighter where they have that little question or that little fear, and they might not perform. And maybe that's the case here. I don't know. It might be that one fight, that one opponent that Anthony Joshua might be a little afraid of, maybe, and come the day of the fight, it might turn out to be a good fight. It might turn out to be where Wilder lands that fucking right hand and hurts him and finishes him. Never know. I think that could be one of the cases, because we've seen that from Anthony, where if he's fighting Usyk, I think as many times as they fight, I think Usyk is going to have the better of him, just because he already has his number, and maybe because Anthony already knows and already fears that style, that movement, that footwork. Maybe same thing with Wilder. Maybe he fears that power. He's been hurt, he's been dropped, so maybe that could be something that could be in Wilder's favor.
Yeah, I think Wilder in any fight that he's in, he has a good chance. Obviously, with the power that he has, that's the last thing to go in a fighter. I think I would still watch it, because like I said, they're heavyweights. You heavyweights, especially those two guys, big explosive punchers. They're always gonna put on a good fight. But I mean, I did lose interest, obviously with Wilder's performance. I don't think he could perform at the top level, even though you still give him a chance. You still give him a puncher's chance. But I would favor Anthony Joshua a lot more now. But yeah, I would still tune in to see it. I think Wilder would still, generate a lot of money for both guys. Like my dad said, Wilder's a different kind of mentality guy. He's gonna go in there, maybe try to intimidate Anthony Joshua a little bit, and that could maybe play a factor. But overall, I think AJ will be able to handle that pretty easily. But I would still tune in.
Same thing with me. I favor AJ, especially from his, staying busy. His last performance looked really good, and I would favor him. But we also, we also seen a bad performance. We also seen a bad performance with Fury's last fight. But we still think he's still top of the heavyweights. He could still probably dominate and beat Usyk. You know what I mean? So one performance, doesn't mean you're done. I think it was just out of shape, didn't take the fight serious. With Wilder, it looks like his career is done. But with that power, one punch going on against Anthony might still be a little cautious, might fight a little cautious, and that'll give Wilder a little more confidence to go out there and swing and throw and land. It's a fight that I want to watch. I actually want to watch it. I favor Anthony Joshua, and I think Anthony Joshua might even knock him out. I'll probably pick him by knockout, but it's still something that I would want to watch, because you never know. I want to see that. I really want to see it next year.
And then it's those type of fights with the big names that everyone's just waiting for it to happen.
I think it's one of those, and I think next year, if we get it,
It does huge pay-per-view numbers, and it still does it still generates a lot of money for both guys.
those are already 2 fights that we're talking about for next year. So next year, if we get those fights, should be a great year of boxing. Just like this year was, I think next year should be a great year of boxing because there's a lot of fights out there.
And since we were talking about Joshua, let's just jump right into his. He secured his third win of the year against Otto Wallin after Wallin's corner stopped the fight in the 5th round. Same thing, like I watched this fight, but from what I was reading, the highlights that I saw, AJ was translating discipline and confidence throughout the fight. How happy are you guys to see that type of AJ, that side of AJ back?
See that, there's no reason to be happy, but we did see an improved AJ. He it looked like he was a little more confident. He fought with more with less fear, not worried about getting hit. Where we seen that in a couple of fights, his previous fights. This time around, it was confident. He had confidence. He was relaxed. He was being himself, and that's what we wanted to see. To be able to know that he could still compete against those top heavyweights. We needed to see that, and we seen it. I congratulate him for beating those negative things always in his head, and those negative performances. Now was the one that made the boxing world believe in him again, to know that he's capable of being champion again.
Yeah, I think the most important thing with AJ was the activity. He had a few performances early in the year where he didn't look that great. He would win fights, but he didn't look like the big puncher, the explosive puncher, the aggressive style that he had before. But this fight was a big improvement on that, and I think he did it against his toughest opponent. I think he did it against the toughest opponent he had this year. So it was nice to see AJ be able to perform like that. Now I read online that now he's probably going to go forward with he's going to be fighting for the IBF belt after I believe they said that after Fury and Usyk fight for undisputed, that they signed so Fury and Usyk signed a 2-fight deal. So they fight and then they have to do an immediate rematch right away. If they have to do an immediate rematch, the rematch won't be for the IBF title. The IBF title had the IBF is allowing them to do the undisputed fight, but the winner has to fight Hrgovic. I don't know if I mispronounced that, but because they have a rematch clause, then that means they're not going to fight Hrgovic, and that means AJ would end up fighting Hrgovic for the IBF title. So that would be a really, really big fight, a big step up. Hrgovic is a big puncher. And the way he's been performing now, I think it's the best time for AJ to take a big fight like that with a big puncher like that. I think this is the best he's gonna be, for one of those or for a big step up fight like that. So, I'm excited to see AJ back in there with one of those big, not just big names. Hrgovic isn't a big name, but with the top tier guys at heavyweight.
And a title fight, so that's makes it even more interesting.
He would be a three-time heavyweight champ, which I don't know how many times that's happened.
Yeah, he could go back and fight the winner of Usyk and Fury for them.
Deontay Wilder, because they're gonna do their fight, then they'll do AJ and Hrgovic, like I said, and then while they line up the rematch, because the way these guys fight, like Fury and Usyk, they fight once a year, every year and a half. They'll probably end up doing the first one, and probably the second one probably won't be till the end of the year, December or early next year, some crazy shit like that. In the meantime, AJ will be able to do another fight, maybe a Deontay Wilder fight, or he'll be able to do something like that, and then that'll set up a big fight with whoever comes out victorious from Fury and Usyk.
With all of those fights, where does that leave the heavyweight division? Is it in good hands right now?
Yeah, it's in good hands. We have a lot of, and then we still have the young guys on the way up. I believe by the end of next year, I think by the end of next year, Deontay Wilder probably will be retired or very, very close if he isn't already close now. AJ will probably be a 3-time, hopefully become a 3-time world champ. Fury and Usyk will see the winner, of the 2 fights. And then the year after that, that's when we start to see, a Jared Big Baby Anderson, some of these younger guys getting their title shots. I think the heavyweight divisions, at least in my lifetime, in my recent, since I've been, watching boxing, I grew up on the Klitschko's and stuff like that. And it wasn't the most exciting times for the heavyweight division. I think right now these guys, AJ, Wilder, Fury, and now Usyk, who's a heavyweight now, Jared Anderson, who's on his way up, a lot of these younger guys. It's a great time to be a fan of the heavyweight division, and I think it's only going to be getting better.
You didn't mention Zing in there.
Yeah, no, Zhang is gonna get his shot at one of these guys too. That dude's bad, man. That's probably my personal favorite. I like that guy.
Although fight ASAP.
But he's just older in age too, you know what I mean? Like he needs to get a shot at one of these titles or something like that soon, because he's up there in age already.
Now that we were talking about AJ, I wanted to ask you, Theo, what was one of the biggest lessons you learned training him?
It was just a different experience. Honestly, it was just different. Being in another country, it was just a great experience. Great people around them. I made good friends over there. I'm still in touch with a lot of those people that I was in camp with. We it was just a great experience. Something that I never done before. I'm happy with what we did, even though we didn't win the fight. I think it was just a great experience. Nothing compared to obviously training my guys from day one to becoming champion, stuff like that. We tried and then didn't win that title, but I think it was a challenge, because there was a lot of things that were a little different, a little weird, a little something that here in the States we don't use. I had to adapt. I have to certain coaches that need to be there and that are doing stuff that here in the States we don't use. So I had to adapt. It was just a different experience. Something that taught me a little things also. So it wasn't negative about it. No, it was a good experience. As like I said, probably the best thing is that I make good friends that I'm still in touch with. We still go back and forth through texting and stuff like that. So that was a good experience.
All right, so let's jump over to Japan. Naoya Inoue became a 2-time undisputed champion on Tuesday after knocking out Marlon Tapales in the 10th round. He also knocked him down in the 4th. But give us your take on that fight.
I think Inoue is one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. The only one that I still have above him, pound for pound, is Terence Crawford, because of the fighter he beat and the way he did. Errol Spence was also top 3, top 4 pound for pound fighter in the world. Maybe 1 and 2, 2 and 1. Wherever you want to put him. I think top 4 for sure. And the way Crawford beat him, I still put Crawford as number 1. But Inoue is the real deal. He's they call him the monster. He's got tremendous power, great skills. He dominates the fight. He makes the fight so easy. This guy he beat, Tapales, beat MJ, who we just seen a couple weeks ago. He's a great fighter, great power, great skills. Joel Diaz, Antonio Diaz have done a great job with him. He's got a great management team. We have kids in our gym, because we're not very far from India. That sometimes we send guys over for sparring. Sometimes they send guys over for sparring, and they've told us that that's the hardest guy, the hardest puncher they've ever sparred, that they've ever been in the ring with. So Tapales beat him, and then Tapales goes and fights with Inoue, and Inoue just so comfortable, makes it seem so easy, just dominates him, and hurts him and stops him, without any problem. Obviously he has to fight careful too. He has to fight smart, but he makes it seem so easy. So he is number 2 pound for pound, the best fighter in the world to me.
Yeah, Inoue now at this point in his career, he's making world champs and these high level fighters. Tapales is a great fighter. He was
Yeah.
nothing. There's a reason he beat MJ. There's a reason he's a unified world champ. Earlier in the year with Stephen Fulton, he makes these guys look like it's nothing to him. He's a generational talent. He's something we see once every who knows how many years. You don't see this kind of fighter very often. The combination of the speed, the power, the explosiveness, and Tapales, like I said, Tapales actually gave him a better fight than I expected. Tapales is a strong dude. He came to win. You saw, I think the Stephen Fulton fight to me, Fulton, I think by the end of the first round, second round, something like that, I right away I said this guy's he's not there to win. He's not even trying. He's not trying to beat Inoue anymore. He's intimidated by him now. I think Tapales, I don't think I saw that too much until later on in the fight. He was there to win. He landed some hard shots on Inoue that I think, if it's, if from the rumors are true, if he fights somebody like a Pantera Neri and one of those guys was able to land one of those shots, they could really hurt Inoue. But the fact that they're in there with a generational talent, the fact that they're in there with number 1 or number 2, pound for pound in the world, what can they do? You know what I mean? Like, it's just he's something special. He's something completely different that we've never seen before, and we won't be seeing for a long time. He's something. I think him and Crawford have shown that they're the 2 best fighters of this generation, and I think. And I don't think it's close with any other guys. I think they're the 2 guys that are head and shoulders above anybody else in this generation of fighters. And Inoue's, he's just getting started. Honestly, I think he's gonna go up to featherweight and he's gonna probably become undisputed there, and he's just gonna keep making history because he's something different.
Right now,
The thing with Inoue is that he's still 30 years old, so we could still see another 4 or 5 years of him.
That's young. Crawford is like 35, 36.
Crawford's 36 already, I believe. So Crawford, could continue being number 1 for the next 2 or 3 fights that he has because he's that good. But I don't think he'll be in boxing for years to come. Maybe 1 or 2 years, and then that'll be it for him. I think that's when Inoue will just be number 1 pound for pound.
Inoue's got fucking 4 or 5 years if he wants.
Exactly. Or if Inoue by next year, or the following year becomes undisputed at featherweight, then he might be number 1 after that. Especially if Crawford doesn't fight that often, if depending on who he fights, obviously if he retires, all that, I think Inoue will be pound for pound in the next 2 years coming. He'll be pound for pound the best fighter in the world.
Right now, you were saying that he's a generational fighter. What defines a generational fighter?
There's certain guys that, I mean, all you have to do is just like you watch somebody and you could see like a different kind of a different skill set that you're not used to seeing. Like, you saw the speed of Manny Pacquiao, the speed, the power, the footwork in and out. You don't see that kind of stuff very often. The defense of Floyd Mayweather, how little he got hit. It's incredible how he went. I don't know how many years he was world champ, but all the years that he went world champ, and you could count in your hand the fucking 3 times that he got hit clean or he got stunned in a fight. There's just certain guys that they just have something special. Roy Jones Jr. is one of these guys. Mike Tyson, you know what I mean? There's something different that you don't see. Inoue has a combination of speed, power, agility, explosiveness, his footwork. That you don't see very often. And then on top of it, he's challenging himself to beat all these world champs. He's something special when you got somebody like a Stephen Fulton who has a great amateur background here in the United States. He was a great amateur, multiple time national champ. He becomes a unified world champ. He's one of the best fighters in the world. One of the top. When Inoue beat him, he was top 15 pound for pound. He had beat Brandon Figueroa. He had beat did he beat Roman? No, MJ beat Roman. No, he had beaten Roman as well. So he had beaten really good fighters. So Stephen Fulton is one of the top 15, top 20 pound for pound fighters in the world. And Inoue makes it look like it's just some random dude that he picked up at the park. Like he makes it look that easy. That's when you have a generational talent. Crawford is the same way. You have Errol Spence who stopped Ugas, who beat Danny Garcia, who's beating all these top fighters, and Terence Crawford makes it look like it's nothing to him. You know, we have guys in our gym I'll use Bam for an example. He had two performances against guys, you know, tough kids from Mexico that he beat, but you know they go the distance. They give him a tough fight, but then he goes up to another level to fight somebody like a Sonny Edwards and stuff like that, and he's able to stop them. Like how do you do that? Well, because these guys, the tougher the fights get, the bigger the competition is, the bigger they also rise. You know, it's not a coincidence that in Inoue's biggest fight against Stephen Fulton and in Crawford's biggest fight against Errol Spence, they have their best performances and they make those guys look like it's nothing to them because they're generational talents. And one thing that sets them aside from somebody else that I consider to be that kind of talent is somebody like a Gervonta Davis. You know, the speed, the power, and everything. The only difference is that these guys are willing to go after the tough fights, move up in weight, and fight for multiple weight classes and world titles and beat other world champs and stuff instead of searching for the biggest payday or where I can have the advantage over my opponent. They're looking for the toughest fights. That's why both those guys are 2-time undisputed champs already. That's why they're the generational talents. That's why they're the leaders of this generation. That's, you know, they're on top of the talent, they're also chasing greatness. So that's what sets them apart from everybody else.
I love that. Okay. And right now that you were saying all of the qualities that Inoue has, can anyone even compete at his level right now?
There's a lot of talented fighters. Pete, I just mentioned, you know.
No, but I'm in his weight classes, like 22 or 20.
His weight class, no,
I don't think anybody messes with him at 122 or 26.
You know, Pete mentioned talent, obviously, but no, in his weight class, man, he probably, you know, when he starts moving up in weight, we're gonna see bigger guys.
When he starts moving up the weight, he's already up like 5 divisions.
No, but yeah, moving up in weight.
That's how good he is.
You know, but then again, he could be like Manny Pacquiao, who started at flyweight and then ended up in the super welterweight, still knocking guys out. Yeah. So Inoue could be that, you know, the same thing, you know, move up to featherweight, junior lightweight, and still dominate. That could easily happen because he's that good. But I want to see that. I want to be able to experience that, to see that, because we get one every 10, 20 years. You know, we had Pacquiao who did it. You know, we had the talents of Roy Jones, you know, like Peter said, Tyson, Mayweather. But I think Inoue is going to be one that we enjoy, going up to featherweight and dominating. And the guys will be bigger, stronger, maybe take a better punch and maybe last a little bit more rounds. But at the end, he's still going to hurt him. He's still going to knock them out. 130, he'll do the same. It's one of those careers, one of those fighters that we're going to be able to see and see how far he gets, man. I think he could do it up to lightweight if he wants. You know, I think he will one day.
I think the guys at 122, I believe I read that their plan is for him to fight 3 times next year, and I think still at 122, and I think the first one will be against Pantera Neri. Luis Neri has already said that he's already agreed. You spoke to people after when Bam was fighting, after the fight, that MJ had, I don't know how far it is, or how correct it is, that MJ is already kind of getting lined up and being talked about as another one. So if he fights those 2 guys, I would favor Inoue in both those fights. I think they both give him good fights because they're both power punching southpaws, and you saw that Tapales was able to land some solid shots on him. Maybe one of them could give him a little scare, you know, with the landing a solid shot on him or something. But I think he beats both those guys. I think he moves up to featherweight, and I honestly don't think I favor any of the featherweights over him. I don't favor Venado over him. I don't favor, Espinosa, who just became champ. I think Lee Wood vacated his title, so I think somebody else. I think Raymond Ford's gonna fight for that title. The WBC is it Rey Vargas? Is it Rey Vargas at 126? I think Rey Vargas. I would not favor Rey Vargas over him. I don't think I think he could go up to, I think up until 130. I think once it gets to 130, then we're talking about something different. Those guys are a lot bigger. Those guys are more talented, and that would probably be where we see him in his toughest fights. But I don't see anybody at 122 or 126 that.
But even at 130, right now at 130.
Yeah, but it's just those are some big dudes. Like they like Oshaki Foster, who just won his title. I wouldn't favor him over Inoue, but Oshaki Foster, he's a big solid guy. Navarrete is at 130. We're talking about some big dudes now. We're talking about some big guys that could take a good punch, that could also crack their, you know what I mean? Like that's where I think we start to see, Inoue in some really, really tough fights. Because right now he's making these guys look it way too easy.
Well, I think that's what he's going to need to do: move up and challenge himself to be able to get the challenge and to show us that he's also good when it comes to taking a good punch and fighting back.
I think he showed that with Nonito the first fight, because he had his orbital bone fractured in that fight, and you never saw any doubt in him, or you never saw. I believe there's a clip that I saw on TikTok or something where after one of the rounds, he already had the fracture. He already saw, his eye was already swollen. He's walking back to the crowd, and they had some big exchanges, and he's like hyping up the crowd, like, yeah, let's go. And then he comes out the next round, and you could see that he's still aggressive. He's still, so I don't think, I don't think he has to show that, but he will at 130 and 126. I mean, those are some big punchers, big guys. And we'll get some tests in there for him. But right now at 122, I don't think anybody can mess with him.
How fast do you think he's gonna move up and wait to see those fights?
I think every year I think we'll see him at a different one.
Next year he's still gonna be at 122, right?
Yeah, next year he's probably still gonna be at 122. Then 2025 we'll see him at featherweight. We'll see. I think at featherweight too, we got to see some of these guys unify the title, because Robesi's the champ, Venado's the champ. Rey Vargas has one title. I think Raymond Ford is fighting for the WBA title.
Who's his title?
Okay, yeah, my bad. Robesi. No, but I was saying Robesi was the champ, and all these guys, and they're with Top Rank, but none of them are fighting each other. Rey Vargas is over there with PBC. He's not doing anything. I think we need to see them, in the meantime, unify the titles, so that when Inoue does move up, he has guys that are in a way like worth his time. Because right now they're just holding the titles, fighting, doing random title defenses and stuff. And when Inoue moves up and he tries to pick, you got to separate yourself to earn these big fights. Inoue is the big fight below 130 pounds. He's the big payday now. If you go to Japan, you're gonna make a few $1 million, to fight Inoue. You're not going to do that against anybody else around your weight class. So they have to do something to separate themselves also. So I think we need to see those guys, unify the titles and really, stand out, from the rest of them. So I think, next year we'll see him 22, 2025, we'll see him at 126. And then, if he ever does, then maybe fucking 130.
That'd be crazy. But yeah, how much credit do you guys give Tapales though? Because he came to fight. He didn't come to survive or anything like that.
No, Peter just said it earlier, that, Tapales, came in, was a great challenge. It was just, he just had a way better man in front of him and wasn't able to do what he planned on doing. But, he's game, he was not just an easy opponent,
he wasn't there for a payday.
So he came to try to win, it was just that he had a better opponent in front of him. I think he's still going to be able to compete at top level. He could still fight a lot of top names and a lot of big fights. So, he'll continue doing it. He's got a great team behind him too, so they'll do the right thing with him.
I think the way he looked, I would favor him against most of the other 122 pounders. He already beat MJ. I don't know how a fight with him and Pantera and Eddie would play out, but I would love to see a fight like that. There's a lot of big fights out there for him, and I think he showed a lot, even in losing. He didn't lay down. He didn't look like he was ever like he ever gave up on himself during the fight. He just had, like I said, number one, number two, pound for pound, the best fighter in the world in front of him.
And we might cover this in the next episode where we talk about the end of the year awards. But is Inoue this year's fighter of the year?
I think it's him. I think I would give Inoue the fighter of the year. I said this. I think I said it today at the gym. Ellie was there, and I said I think Inoue is the fighter of the year, but Crawford is the best fighter in the world right now. I think Inoue, just because of the two fights. I think the first fight with Fulton was a really, really good win for him. Fulton was, like I said, I believe he was in the top 15 pound for pound at the time, and the way he made it look, and then unifying and becoming undisputed in his second weight class. Crawford did against Errol, who Errol is out of Tapales, Fulton and Errol. Errol is the better fighter out of all of them, but I would have liked to have seen Crawford in another fight. So I give Inoue the fighter of the year right now, but I think Terrence Crawford is the best fighter in the world right now.
I think Crawford should get fighter of the year just because of that performance against another top pound for pound fighter, the way he did it, the way he performed. I think he should get it. I wouldn't be mad either if Inoue gets it, obviously, or I wouldn't,
Either guy.
everybody has, they both can put a good case. But myself, I think Crawford, just that performance was unbelievable. Beating a top pound for pound fighter in the world was great win for him. The way he did it was just something that you can't beat. You can't beat that, even though Inoue fought twice. You can't beating a top pound for pound fighter and the way he did it. So I think Crawford.
All right, well, there you have it. That was all of the questions. Do you guys want to touch up on anything before we go to the next episode next Saturday?
No, I think just for everybody to tune in next week. Actually, we'll be filming it this weekend. We're filming it on Saturday, probably posting it up on Sunday. We'll be doing our end of the year awards, and you know, what I wanted to do was I'm gonna go on social media on Instagram and ask people to send us questions, that they have. Maybe we'll talk about potential fights that we have that we're gonna look forward to in the next year. And yeah, that's it. Just stay tuned for next week. We'll have our end of the year, who we think is the trainer of the year, knockout of the year, fighter of the year, different things like that. And then, like I said, on social media, I'll probably post something up. Today's Thursday, so I'll post something up tomorrow, Friday, and have everybody send in some questions, and we'll answer some of your guys' questions.
Okay, for sure. I'll do that too. I'll put that on my
That'll be on Garcia Boxing Instagram. So if you guys follow us, stay tuned, and we'll answer some of your guys' questions on Saturday, because there's no fights this weekend. I think Ioka fights. His fights coming up on New Year's. Yeah, he always does the New Year's card. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but he's not fighting anybody too worth talking about too much either.
All right, well, there you have it. Thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of Robert Garcia Unfiltered. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and then leave us in your comments what you guys think about this episode.